and welcome to Nighttime at the Nerd Bar, episode 80! Ah!
Yay!
Yay!
We
What's
did
up?
it.
We made it to 80. It's a
We
big, exciting
did.
number.
We
We
did.
are live. If you're watching us live, join us in the live chat. And if you're watching it later, no worries, comment down below. Let's get into intros. Hello, I am Carrie Lane.
And I'm Katie Cullen.
And I was like, I came across this secondhand and I was like, this looks so cool.
That is fun. I also came across this
It looks very
secondhand,
cool.
and this was
Nice.
from the Renaissance Fair.
Oh,
It is a
yay.
potion. It's a potion bottle. It's a perfume bottle. I'm like, I will
Oh,
never be putting anything in here. It's just a nice little cut crystal that I will be
nice.
using for my labyrinth costume.
Sweet.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are here on Mondays. Monday energy for all of you. We didn't have a show last week because of Comic-Con and oh, oh my gosh, we were dead.
I
But we're
still
back.
haven't recovered.
I know I'm like me too. I'm like, whew, it's been a lot. But you know what? We had an amazing time. We will talk about that. We got Overwatch news, and we have some fun stuff. Starting with an unboxing.
So speaking of
Unboxing.
recovery,
Hey,
this
good job.
isn't technically an unboxing. Our lovely friends at G Fuel, when they found out that I could only have so much caffeine in a day, were kind enough to send me a box of the hydration formula. And I was going to save it for a nice little unboxing. And then it arrived like right before, like during Comic Con. And then that entire week afterwards, Los Angeles decided to be like somewhere between 80 and 102 degrees on average. So I cracked it open and I've just been drinking it. This is here we go. This is the little shaker they sent me. It's got a little
It's
it's it's a
so
cactus holding a
that's
prickly,
so
I think a prickly
cute.
pear. It's so, and what is in
Cute.
here, they sent me 3 flavors. I've only opened one of them so far because it's raspberry lemonade. And I don't think they knew that raspberry lemonade is one of my favorite drink flavors
Mm.
ever. But they said this is what is known as the hype sauce, is what they're calling it. But it's raspberry lemonade flavor. I've been drinking it all week. It's been amazing. It is so good. I will be very sad when I run out, and then I'll simply have to purchase more. And also break into the grapefruit, strawberry, and pineapple. So we have a tropical mix
Ooh,
here, and this is just
yes.
called grapefruit, strawberry, and pineapple. And the bubblegum lemonade, which intrigues the hell out of
Mm.
me, not gonna lie. Like, I'm very much looking forward to this one. This just seems like a really nice standard, and I
Mhm.
have been living off of this raspberry lemonade. Like, you guys, it
Sweet.
is so good. It is so good. I never really saw myself as like an energy drink person or like a specialized drink person, the occasional Gatorade when I
Mhm.
needed it, but whatever. I love this stuff so much, you guys. I love this stuff so much. I have a full bottle of it and you will see me drinking it throughout the show. I have had it damn near every day since I've gotten home and been able to open it. I recommend it. I am
Well,
really
and
enjoying.
also we've tried
Yeah,
the I wanna say it was like a
we
blue
have
raspberry one. We tried
like the
that while we
sour blue raspberry.
tried that one at
That one
Comic-Con.
that one that tasted like, did you ever have Shock Tarts when you were
Mhm.
younger? Remember Shock Tarts? It tasted like blue Shock Tarts, and I was
It's
not
definitely on the
expecting that.
sweet side,
But
but
I
it
will
was
also
good.
say that my favorite, Mountain Dew flavor tasted like purple Shock Tarts before they took the sour out of it.
Mm.
Yeah, and I'm double checking the nutrition facts just to make sure that I have my facts correct, and I do, 0 sugar. 0 sugar. For me, that's a really big thing because I have had my dentist get on my case before as to like, "And what's in your drinks, and how much are you having? G Fuel 0 sugar, baby, let's go!"
And I don't
So,
have the
yeah.
can anymore because I already drank it. I drank it on the way down to Comic-Con. It's the one
Yep.
it's Naruto, and it was kind of like,
It was a lychee thing, wasn't it?
yeah, it was something light peach, kind of a very
Yeah,
nice,
yeah, yeah.
not too heavy a flavor. I really liked
Yeah.
it, and as a high caffeine consumer, I appreciate it, and it gave me good energy for that long drive down,
Oh,
so
yeah.
thank you
So
very
they
much.
have some great flavor profiles for people who are high caffeine and some great flavor profiles for people who are limited caffeine.
Yeah.
And again, I cannot get over these little shakers. I'm gonna tilt it a bit so you can kind of see
It
like
is
this
so
blue area
cute.
here. This is a removable piece that is, it looks like an apple corer. It's
Mhm.
circular, has a hole in the middle, and has dividers. And it's just so good for this. I have been making my G Fuel in a cup with a spoon, and that does the trick. But making it in this has made so much of a difference. Like this thing is, it's an engineered shaker cup, and it works really well. And
Yeah.
again, it's cute as anything, and
Yes.
even the logo is a cactus on the back.
Oh,
It's a little cactus font.
yes. Thank you, G
So
Fuel.
thank you so much, G Fuel, for keeping me hydrated when Los Angeles has decided that it is very much a hydrate or dihydrate game out there. Very much appreciated. Seriously, this raspberry lemonade is something else.
I'll have to try that one next.
Yeah, you got it. It's so good.
Well, speaking of hydrating ourselves for Comic Con, that was quite the adventure for
Oh yeah.
us. My goodness, if you have not already, check out our interviews here on the Fanversation channel. I have a couple more that are coming out just because they're a little more evergreen. If they weren't necessarily Comic Con specific, but those will be coming out. Also, they're on the longer side, which is really nice to get a more in-depth interview with a couple people.
Nice.
Like there are almost 7 to 10 minutes, which just so you all know, like red carpet interviews, you maybe get, 1 to
2.
3 minutes max. One, maybe
Yeah.
one question. So to get
Yeah.
like almost 10 minutes is so nice to breathe and have that. We're going to try to pilot this here
Alrighty.
of showing what we don't need
Yeah.
audio. We'll narrate
Yeah.
over.
I'm gonna figure it out.
Uh,
Alrighty, yeah.
Yay. Okay.
Have we
So
got some of the reels? We got the
we
reels.
do.
Oh, hell yeah. We're gonna have some fun.
So this was Paramount. Super fun. Love that. That
Yes.
was kicking off our trip.
They called it The
And
Lodge, and
yes.
it was promoting multiple shows that are available on Paramount Plus. So as you can see, we've got the Krusty Krab there. We
Yep.
have the newest Transformers movie. There was a bit in the back that was Yellow Jackets. They had a whole
Yes.
Yellow
And you
Jackets
got
thing
some
going
honey,
on.
which
Yeah.
was cool. They
Evidently, the
had
Yellow Jackets thing also did playing cards a little later on in the
oh,
weekend.
cool. That's
Yeah.
nice. Then obviously they had Star Trek going on. They had some character things they drew for you. They had very yummy and strong drinks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if you want the audio, you got to go check out the Fanversation Instagram page for
Yeah.
that, and TikTok as well.
Yeah. And we
Then
are
the
still putting
burgers.
up Comic-Con stuff on the
Yeah,
Instagram and on the TikTok. So it's not like it
yeah.
was all one and done. Stay tuned. We've got other fun stuff coming down the line.
And then we got top over this. Shout out to our friends over at Hero Within. If you are in right, they've done other titles like Marvel and DC, but right now they're really focusing on Star Trek. So if you're a Star Trek fan, you are eating well here. They
Oh,
have
yeah.
amazing clothing items. You can get everything online too, because if you couldn't go to the con or they didn't have your size, check online. So that's Hero Within. So they did this really cute pop-up coffee shop and had coffee at different times of the day, which was awesome because most coffee places never open late enough for me. Uh,
Yeah.
so that one was really fun. This was the fashion show for Her Universe.
Yes, absolutely beautiful looks this year. Definitely check them out. There's some incredible stuff. There always is,
Yeah,
but there were some particularly fun ones this year.
this looks like some singing, so y'all gonna have to go check out the page to go listen to it.
Yep.
This one was really cute. This was the NBC one, and they were really smart of like, okay, well, how do you combine a bunch of NBC shows? So what they did was the idea is you're in Quantum Leap and you're jumping into your other shows to save them. And there's me doing it, which was super fun, really kind of cute, and again, very creative idea of okay, how are you going to tie in these shows? So it was Law and Order, The Voice, and Chucky. And I told Katie about that after, and Katie's like, "How is Chucky involved?" I'm like, "I know, right?"
As
Uh,
someone who is watching the Chucky TV show and highly recommends it.
Yeah. So here's the Law and Order set. You got to solve a crime, which was very fun. Oh, that's Taylor, by the way, who is also part of the Fanversation family. And there's Yale. And I'm videotaping most of this, so you don't see me. All
Yeah.
right, so let's go watch more of that there. So this one, my goodness, Katie and I love this. Katie, tell me your thoughts on
This
Immortal.
was the best one there. Hands
Yes.
down, fight me. This was the best. My brain keeps calling them installations, and it's not that. It's, I can't remember the term. This was the best outside Comic
Yeah.
Con thing there. It
Yes.
was Anne Rice. It's based on Interview with a Vampire, the Immortals. And so they initially had us in with this guy doing this talk about eternal life and handing out shots of what was pomegranate juice, but didn't
Yeah.
look like it. And we wound up in 1920s New Orleans. They had about a block that they set up. They had dancers. They had this incredible street artist. They had the, I can't wait till, we do have the footage of the guy stealing your watch, right?
Yes, we do.
The
So
sleight of
this,
hand
yeah,
artist
right
went
here.
right here
Watch my watch. Watch it.
because he did this
And
whole
off.
thing with like foam balls and
And
whatnot.
the watch is gone.
No, yep.
And I did not feel it. I really did not.
Yeah,
And
the sleight of hand guy was absolutely incredible. He was doing a whole find the pea shell game thing, and then yeah, moved into that. It was so funny. But
then
all of
some
these
piano
different people,
playing.
yeah, all these different people were warning you about, oh, don't go into the manor at the end of the lane. Don't
Yes.
talk to Lestat. It's worrying, like people are
Yep.
disappearing. And so just having everyone be that fully in character. I
Yep.
wish it hadn't been so hot and we hadn't been dehydrated because the drinks looked amazing. But it was also one of those, this is a bad idea right now. Like physically, this would not be a good plan. So sometimes you skip out on parts of the experience in order to make sure that your health stays intact and that the rest of the experience and the rest of the night is doable. And that's just choices you make at Comic Con, depending on how you're feeling and the weather and just generally where you are. Not always easy choices to make, but always default on the side of your health at a convention.
Yes.
Always.
I think that was a, what did they say? Offsite. Offsite.
Offsite. That's what
Yeah.
they
They call
thank
them
you.
offsites.
Yes.
It's an offsite because it's not in the convention. It's just
Yes.
offsite. I
And
think I
generally
agree. That was my
speaking,
favorite one.
oh yeah, no, that
And
that was the
seeing
best one
it
I
at
was at.
dusk was like, mwah, chef's kiss, perfect time because it was starting to get dark, add to the vibe. One thing I found out about after, which I'm really glad to learn about, was they did accept some standby people as well. Because this was one where you needed a ticket. It wasn't paid, but you had to register online. So, what about like if you missed that or you had no idea about it? So, I saw a few people talking on Twitter that they did have some standby
Yeah,
options. So, I'm like, that's nice because it's like
yeah,
if you're really excited and you missed out, that'd be a bummer.
yeah.
Uh,
My friend who I was staying with stood in line for a chunk of time, but did do it, and she also
hey,
really enjoyed it.
nice. And I just think mad props to all the performers. They all did an amazing job. And then also a quick shout out in the chat. Charles Darcy says, "Hope you all had fun at SDCC."
We did.
And
We're very tired.
yes, and also supporting both strikes. Yes, so this the
Yes.
theater thing is interesting because that's theater, so that's not under any kind of the same rules.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the interviews we did were either international video games or animated, and it's like more independent, not the large studios. So
Yeah.
they're all
So,
within by the book, and
yeah.
we're still supporting the strike. And it was still, well, what did I talked about this on another show, but Katie, how was your experience without having the major studios and major actors
The hall was so crowded. It
there?
was there was a marked difference from Saturday when they had William Shatner, who did come and did do a panel in Hall H because he has an indie project that I think is a biography, an
Hmm.
autobiographical film. So
Hmm.
he was promoting that, and it's indie, and it's, you can do that. Um, but when Hall H was full because he was in there was so much more breathing room in the expo hall.
Hmm.
Most of the rest of the days, it was extremely crowded in the hall, more so than I'd seen before. So the fact that a lot of larger panels either got canceled or wound up being streaming, premieres, essentially,
Mhm.
screenings.
Yes.
Oh my God, it's that kind of day.
You
Big
got to
Monday
there.
energy.
You got there.
I got there eventually. Yeah, I always do. Um, but yeah, the fact that so many panels either pivoted or got canceled, and that I would imagine a lot of people chose not to go to panels because, oh, I wanted to see the celebrity. Oh, I wanted to do this. Oh, they're not going to be there. Well, I'm not fussed about it. Let me do other stuff. Let me stand in line
Mhm.
for this photo op. Let me line up for this swag. Let me do whatever. Like, yeah, it was it was a lot. And this is the first year that I spent time trying to get exclusives, merch
Mhm.
exclusives for my
How was
friends.
that, Katie?
A nightmare. Uh, I mean,
You're all, well.
if you
Whew.
want to get exclusives, it has to be what you're going for. You have to be there when the
Mhm.
hall opens. You got to be Johnny on the spot. You got to get the ticket. And a
Mhm.
number
Mhm.
of the merch booths handed out tickets like come back at this time slot and you can buy
Mm.
things versus having lines that would wrap around and around and around. Like there were different parts of the hall where the fire marshal was definitely giving them the side eye at certain points in the weekend. So they had to figure out their line situation. I lucked into the Funko line on day 3 and was able to grab the exclusive that my friend wanted, and it just showed up at her door today, and she's very happy. There were a number of others where it was just like, it's not happening. It's not happening. And then the Blizzard one that my other friend wanted, I managed to get there when there was no line, which
Mm.
virtually never happens. Like I strolled up and they went, "Oh, are you buying something? Great. They'll help you out."
That's
Okay.
amazing. You're like, "What?
Yeah, for
You're kidding."
Blizzard,
Mhm.
the next few times I was back in that area of the hall, big old wraparound lines. It's like, I don't know how I lucked out like that, but I'll take it. The other fire marshal issue was there was a Street Fighter 6 tournament at the Capcom booth. And I love esports. We know this. I enjoy watching people play video games, especially at a high level. It's very fun. Hadn't seen anything of Street Fighter 6. Watching the grand finals of this tournament, because the winner of this tournament that started with 128 people and whittled down to 1 over the course of the con basically got a free ticket and an entry into like the big Street Fighter tournament later in the year.
Mm.
So watching these people play at an extremely high level, just like standing by the booth and vibing and listening to the shoutcasters break it down, like it was a lot of fun. They kept they kept removing the line and then moving the barricades up and scooting us in. And because they had arcade cabinets for the game, once you got up to a certain point, you couldn't see the screen over the cabinets. So there were
Uh,
like big gaps in the crowd because there was no visibility. And we're like, we can't see. And they kind of went, the fire marshal is going to shut us down if we don't like get everyone out of the way. So there were over the course of the hour or so, I was just kind of standing there vibing, watching people play Street Fighter at a terrifyingly competent level. The crowd just grew and grew and grew. Like people like esports, people like video games, people like watching people play video games well.
yeah.
People also like watching people play video games poorly, but that's a whole other
That's a
set of
different
fun.
kind of thing, yes.
Yeah.
Piggybacking off that, I've heard from quite a few vendors that it was their best sales year as well because there were so many people on the floor.
Yeah.
So I want to be kind of that happy medium of it's great for all the people selling things or artists showcasing their art that they got more
Yes.
foot traffic. But for people who really are interested in seeing the celebrities or hearing firsthand accounts from the people involved with the show or movie, that's a little bit of a bummer that that's not there. So I'm like, where's that happy medium of like ebb and flow of traffic?
Yeah.
Speaking of that, too, on the floor, I noticed like the first day there were security people that were all gung ho of moving, keep walking, and then by the end they gave up. So I was like, yeah, that didn't last
You
very
weren't at the Funko booth.
well, no, this was like the
I'm
first
gonna
day,
be
like, they
real.
were just walking any aisles, like, nowhere
Ah,
specific. Like, as they're walking, "Keep walking, don't stop in the walkway," which a little bit I do agree. Like, whenever I'm
yeah.
walking with my friends at a con, and then my suggestion for all of you, I'm like, "Let's pull over." Like, it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
a freeway. You pull over and get out of the
Yeah.
way of traffic. Go stand by a booth, and then you'll be much better off. Uh,
Also, if you're walking with someone, single file line it. Do not walk 2 or 3 people abreast. I had several points at the con where there were like two people walking next to each other holding hands. And I just wanted to be like, that's really cute and sweet of you. And I need to get about 10 aisles that way within the next 2 minutes. So I need you to move. You are blocking all of the traffic. I need you to move. So it's some people, it's their first convention, or they're not used to large crowds of people,
Yep.
or they're tired and not aware of their relative speed or position. Like,
Or they don't care.
I'm trying to do a benefit
No,
of the doubt
I
thing
agree.
here.
I would
There
say a little
truly
bit
are some
they're
people who
unaware.
do
It's
not
like,
give a singular fuck
"Oh,
about other humans. And
oh, yeah.
I know that. I'm just trying not to
Yep.
ascribe malice where, to be fair, this isn't nice either, but the saying is do not ascribe malice where stupidity will fit. Uh, so
Or
just,
the problem is it's like or the situation is it's someone in a wheelchair and you can't
oh,
see
yeah.
that, and then you're
Yeah.
like, "Why are we stopped?" And then it's like, "Oh, all right, let's move around and, like, shuffle and everything like that." Uh,
Yeah.
Sunday was my day where I was zipping through the crowds because I think it was 2:30, 3:00. I'm like, "I'm gonna see every single booth," and I did. I started one end of the hall and went up and down every aisle, and it took me about 2 maybe 2.5 hours, and parts of the way was stopping, talking with friends and everything, and it was amazing and had a great time. But yes, there were many a times where I'm like, "Woof, woof, move." Like, I have to get going.
Whereas on preview night, I went and immediately tracked down what I wanted, which was advanced reader copies at publisher booths,
Mhm,
which is great. They're a lot of fun.
mhm.
And the one, I can't remember her last name. I think it's Hannah. It might be Hannah Abbott. She's the one that does the really funny comics about cats. She's the one that does the
Nice.
Mother Neglects
Yeah,
Us for We Are Starving. Like, she's got
yeah.
that very specific. If you've also seen the meme about like the person going to sleep and then the brain saying something and the person just lying awake in bed,
Yes,
like,
yes, yes.
that's she. She's incredible. She's a great artist. And at conventions, she will draw your cat. So if you show up
That is
and give
fun.
a picture of the cat and pay the monies for an art commission, as you do when you are commissioning art, because artists work hard and should be paid fairly for their work. Gee, that's why we're having a strike right now. Two of them. Uh, Good on the UPS for getting everything they wanted and therefore averting their strike. Yeah, UPS capitulated and the workers got
Mhm.
everything they wanted. It's
Yep.
great. Air conditioning in those trucks, baby, for starters. But yeah, I paid her to draw winter, and
It
it's
looks so cute.
I need to take a picture and post it. It's
Yeah.
currently in the pages of one of those advanced reader copies, so it wouldn't get crunched.
Yep.
But it
Smart
is
move.
adorable.
Oh, sorry, maybe got excited.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
like, I have this one. So, y'all, this is the plot of The Mummy told in hieroglyphics.
yes. Do I have?
I was gonna say you don't have it
Nope.
nearby. Oh,
No, my swag bag
we're all
is on
attached,
the
so
yeah.
yeah.
No, the swag bag is on the
Like,
other side of the screen,
no.
and it's
Yep.
way far out of reach
Yeah,
because the
same. I'm like,
screen's like
yep.
back.
My other swag is. Oh, wait, my other one. I did have one other one because I did put this away, tucked away safely. So this is sorry for mispronounce your last name, but it's Dave Kellett and it's sheldoncomics.com. But he did this cutie patootie little
No.
puggies and the
Aw.
kissing, and I got him to sign it.
Oh,
And
that's heckin' cute.
also shout out, he didn't have any new pins I cared for this or no new pins, but I got this one last year. This is Chris Sanders who worked on Lilo and Stitch.
Oh, yeah.
So this is a spooky one, and I also had him sign it. So I was like, "Oh wait, we can have pins signed." And
Yeah,
yes,
Chris
I very
Sanders does
carefully
great
picked.
stuff.
Yes, I have. You cannot see it, but I have a poster up there, also signed from. I feel that was an Artist Alley, something like
Oh, yeah.
a million years ago.
Like I
Uh,
said, Artist Alley at
yes,
cons are so good.
yes.
So good.
Make sure to check the whole row because I did. That was a complaint I felt this year was they had some rows right against the wall. So if you're walking down the main aisle, if you're an artist like over here, you're not really going to see them until you go
Yeah.
all the way in. And I felt kind of bad for those people like at the very, very end because you can't look
Yeah.
down. You had to go all the way in.
Also, the numbering system made no sense.
Oh,
It's like, okay, I'm looking for booth A007, and like
you're like,
A started on one and then looped around the other side of another. And I was just like,
mm,
why though? What
Yep.
how does this make it? I can't. Fine.
Oh,
Not easy
yeah.
to navigate sometimes. But that's
Yeah.
Comic-Con. Not easy to
Indeed.
navigate sometimes.
Aha.
July in Southern California. Like, you know, I
Uh,
did
oh,
discover
yeah.
something that I
Yes.
think if you're living in a big city, this
Mm.
might be available to you. There were, because
Yes.
hilariously, I also saw it when I was in Long Beach for Midsummer Scream the other day. I didn't even realize they were there. There's this little electric taxi line called Circuit, Circuit. Um, and it's just free electric taxis. They're like little 6-seater shuttles that are subsidized by the city.
Mhm.
Um, LA only has them in, I want to say, the Culver City area. It's a very specific part of Los Angeles. San Diego has them at like the Bayfront and the Convention Center, and they cover a fairly good chunk of like downtown, Gaslamp, etc. So if you don't mind waiting a little bit, you can just get a free ride.
That's
So
awesome.
more
Yeah.
than once, because I was staying almost a mile from the convention center, and when it's 80 some odd degrees and humid, and you walk a mile, you get
Yep.
little unpleasant. So more than once, it was like, all right, I need to make it down to the convention center for the day. I really don't want to walk. Sometimes you have to wait for a driver. Sometimes you have to ask for one multiple times. But I also have to do that with Lyft, and Lyft
Mhm.
is not free. So I saw them on a friend's Instagram story. That's how I discovered it and used it plenty of times myself. And it is so nice. And it's just, it's electric taxis. And it's free. So kind of public transportation. So if you are in a larger city, look up Circuit. You might have one in your area. So
I've
highly
discovered
recommended.
those, but their timing wasn't quite right for the schedule I had. But I was
Yeah.
covering an event in uh, Pompano Beach, Florida, and that's a smaller area. I mean, it's still
Yeah.
a beachy, popular town, but it's a smaller town, and they had those, and I'm like, that's amazing because it was like one that went right up and down the main strip, and I'm like, that would be
Yeah.
very convenient if you're a tourist. I did want to do a quick shout out. So my other thing that I did, whoop, there we go. I covered. This was the panel for Project K. So this one was a big thing. Speaking of Hall H, rewinding a little bit. This was the first Indian production to be featured in Hall H. And I must say, this intro was super exciting. Let me see. I think we need to hear some audio on that because I'm like, no, you should. How do I think if I've shared it? I'm like, wait, no, not that. Damn nabbit.
Hop over to there. There is a
Go
drum
watch it.
line. There's a drum
Wait,
line. There is
share
dancing. There
tab
is
audio. Boom. Yes. Like, I haven't been to a Comic Con panel that had like that extravagant of an opening. I mean, I haven't been to that many Hall H panels, but
yeah.
I was like,
It's been a
whoa,
minute.
that was really darn cool, I thought.
Yeah.
And then so that was really cool. And then the other thing about it is if you are a Bollywood fan, Mr. Amitabh Bachchan Zoom called in, which was also exciting because I didn't know that was going to happen. So that was really darn cool. And this movie does look very exciting. This will be probably sometime next year. They didn't have a date, but it's called Project K, or you can look up what is Project K. And it also was when they did the title at the end of the trailer, it said Kalki. So be on the lookout for that if you're into action, and it's gonna be an action kind of sci-fi movie. Yeah. So there's
Yeah.
that. That was my exciting Hall H thing, and it was so nice to go in. I mean, yes, nothing. I don't think any Hall H was like packed to the gills because there was a Star Trek panel, and I was able to walk into the back. So
I do think that William Shatner got a full
probably because
panel.
he's the only one of
I was
celebrity
in the
there.
Ninja Turtles panel, and that was pretty dang full. I
Nice.
don't know if it was no more people full, but
Yeah.
it was pretty full.
Well, this was the time I did
Yeah.
appreciate not having to like camp out for a panel. Can we also get that kind of happy medium of can
Yeah.
we not like wait? I want the days where it could go an hour, maybe 3 hour max, where you could wait for something and you would get in. Like
Yeah.
The idea where you're camping out overnight just to get into a panel, come on now. I mean, that if you want to do that because it's fun for you, have at it. But there's a lot of people that like physically probably cannot do that, and like that's a lot to commit
Yeah.
to. Like, woo,
I am someone who physically cannot do that.
yeah,
Like, my back is unhappy, and if I sleep on a surface
mm-hmm.
that's too hard, I don't sleep. So, camping out is something that is lost to me, especially doing things like camping out overnight for line stuff. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I can't do that anymore, and I have other priorities. This is
That
my
too.
first Comic Con in about 8 years, but it's my first Hall H in probably 11.
Yeah. Ooh, what's the last Hall H I
So
went to? It's been ages. Like it. I remember. So this was my 16th Comic Con, and I remember it was Twilight. That was kind of the big start of huge pop culture things joining Comic
I
Con. I would
remember
say
that.
that was the big thing.
I
And
remember that.
then at that time, you could walk into Hall H panel. Like maybe you'd have to wait, but like you could walk in. But that was the one where people started camping out. And after
It
that,
was the Twilight craze where they started camping out for the Hall H panels, wasn't it?
mm-hmm,
Dang. I
uh,
think I made the Doctor Who panel that year
oh, nice.
because I remember a few things, but one of the things I remember was David Tennant like looking straight into the camera and going, "I love each and every one of you in your own specific way." And I've just
Aw,
carried that in my vocabulary for a while. It's like, "No, no, I like that. That's
a
good.
nice
I'm
one.
keeping that."
Yes. Actually, speaking of spreading some love too, we got Giga Derek in the chat said a bit late. Hey, yes.
Welcome.
Welcome. That's the nice thing about the internet and stuff. Like you can watch this later, and if you're
Mhm.
live, fantastic. If you watch it later, no worries.
Yeah.
Any other big thoughts on Comic Con before we move into Overwatch?
It was a lot. I did enjoy it. The parties were a good time.
Oh yeah.
I,
Well, check out
I've
Instagram. We'll post more about the parties.
Oh, yeah, no, there was a Haunted Mansion party, and boy, do we have things from that. That was, I think, one of my favorite photo ops because of the color correction they did. Yes, the color correction they did on this photo. They had you in front of a little, like, a portion of a staircase in front of a green screen, and they're like, "Stand here and kinda, do
Mhm.
whatever pose."
Mhm.
And they put you in that poster, and I was wearing, for mine, an extremely brightly colored, if you're familiar with Black Milk, it's the Eevee stained glass kimono they just dropped. So, lots of bright colors. They corrected it to make it look like the colors fit in with the color scheme. I don't know what Instagram filter they put over it,
Mm.
but it looks amazing. And I'm just like, all right, I'm keeping that. That's going to be one of those photos that I just pull out because it's good.
Also, quick shout out and thank you to all of our guests who joined us at the pre
Yes.
Comic Con show. And specifically, also, thanks, Bernie. We went to the XLE parties, and
Yes.
those were super fun. I think the
Phenomenal.
Monster Ball was my favorite decorations. I think those were the best. Like, can we bring this back for
Yeah.
our Halloween event stuff? Because it just was so good.
Yeah.
Bulbasaur was
I
the
would
one that really wowed me.
Yeah, the Monsters Ball, best decorations, best photo ops. I
Yes.
would say that the 8-bit one, the preview night one, had the best engagement for if you weren't on the dance floor. Like,
Yes.
I appreciated that the lower floor had the arcade cabinets and had a
Mhm,
few other photo ops and
mhm.
other things you could do.
Yeah.
'Cause it's I think that was the best in terms of if you're not gonna be up on the floor, there's still other stuff for you to do.
Yes.
But Monsters Ball had the best aesthetic, the best photo ops. They had, aerial artists over the crowd in the dance area, which was so good. Like, I think Monsters Ball was the best put together of the 3. Best put together, best executed, just fantastic.
Yeah, I think that was my favorite one.
Yeah. They were
So
all great,
they were
to be
all great.
clear. They
Yes.
were all a lot of fun, but I think Monsters Ball was just cherry on top.
And
Chef
it was
kiss, wonderful.
yes, and it was very nice running into friends there
Yeah.
and pop down into the Barbie Dream House experience, and that was also super duper cool. Caught more the
Yeah.
end as
Yeah.
things were wrapping up, but it was a neat lot of cool photo ops, and we knew some people who were working down there. So that's a fun addition to the experience, if you will, because it's
Yeah.
not just a picture. You had people acting there as well.
Yeah. It
I
was a
think,
good
yeah,
time.
Haunted Mansion, all the parties great. And overall, I'd say, yeah, I think it was. I explained it to people. I said it was a weird Comic Con, but a good one. And it was
Yeah.
weird in the senses as press. What we normally do wasn't what we normally do because normally you're at the Hilton Bayfront, you're doing interviews all day, and you get to, you're talking to the filmmakers and actors and all that. But this was nice to interview other people and get other experiences. Oh, also huge shout out to Viz Media and the Junji Ito
Yes.
exhibit. Oh my gosh, that was
Incredible.
stunning. And they had a special reception where we got to meet the master himself, which was so cool. So huge thank you to Viz. That one we really enjoyed. We'll be posting more of that because we got to ask Mr. Ito-san himself a question, and we'll be posting that.
Yeah.
And so
That
I think that was special.
it was, Junji Ito, the art is very visceral.
Yes.
But it was an absolutely incredible display, like
Mhm.
museum setup.
Yep.
And evidently, when they broke the display down, they sent it all back to Japan to be displayed in the
Ooh,
exact same way. So, like,
nice.
this wasn't a just for Comic Con thing. Like, this was
Yep.
a whole thing.
Yes.
I think my
Yeah.
favorite was seeing the magic cards, the Magic the Gathering cards that he had
Yes.
designed.
Mhm.
Loved
Mhm.
those.
I think it was nice to see like the original artwork up close, and it looked
Yeah.
like how the text could have been modified too, of like, all right, let's change out, and like you could see another piece of paper on top of it, and just a nice. It wasn't like, yeah, it had a really classy sense to it, even with like the
Yeah.
disgusting and disturbing art on the walls.
But then you could get in close and be
Yeah.
like, look at the texture work, look at the
Yes.
cross hatching here, look at the
Mhm.
technique used for
Mhm.
shading. Like, it really was incredible.
Yeah.
There's something to be said for, because, there's reading the manga and it's great, and they're seeing it on the computer screen and it's great. But being up close and personal with the originals and actually getting to see pen strokes on page,
Yeah.
incredible. Just incredible.
And shout out to Godswill for hosting the panel with Junji Ito and Viz Media. That panel was
Hmm.
packed. Fans loved it. He drew something during it. And so I think that was really awesome for fans to be able to experience that.
Yeah.
Especially any international guest is really exciting. So yay for
Yeah.
anime being at Comic Con too. Uh,
And Godswill is a
but
phenomenal host, of course. Goes without saying.
Indeed. So yes, thank you, Viz Media, and shout out to all of them for putting that together. All right, I feel that wraps it up. Of overall amazing experience, exhausting as always, but 100% worth it, and fabulous seeing lots of friends, meeting new people as well, and hopefully bringing you some more interviews in the coming weeks too, because we did meet some people and we're like, hey, you should come on the show. So
Yeah.
stay tuned for all that.
Just a little like, hello,
Yes,
as
yes.
we do.
Yep. All right. So speaking of keeping track of things, there's a Overwatch League is an anime.
Okay. So a lot has happened. And unfortunately, I kind of need to start with the downer news. And the
Dun, dun,
downer news
dun.
is we might not have Overwatch League after this season. There has been nothing officially confirmed,
Hmm.
but there are I'm looking through the article now to make sure that I am quoting things correctly, but essentially Blizzard released its second quarter earnings report for the year, and Overwatch League has not been as profitable as it has been in past years. And the
Oh.
document revealed that league teams will vote on a new operating agreement at the end of the current season, and any team that opts out of the league will get a $6 million termination fee. So there is the potential that teams will opt out in order to cut costs, recoup losses, et cetera, et cetera. Supposedly, the Guangzhou Charge is going to be one of those teams taking that out.
Hmm.
Supposedly. Nothing is official yet, but we're worried, you know? It's entirely possible that this one could be the last one, and that would be, I don't think it's dramatic to say it would be a tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
There's a community there, and we're all just trying to band together. Like, it's not great news, but there's nothing we can do about it. So we're just sticking together, enjoying what we got, staying as positive as we can. Because that is, you know, nothing quite like your favorite anime getting canceled.
Uh,
But again,
yep.
no guarantees for anything yet. The chips will fall where they may, and we will deal with the outcome when it happens. In the
Hmm.
meantime, we have 2 weeks worth of matches. Oh my God. The Atlanta Reign are no longer the only team that has no losses. There is no longer a team that has no losses, and the people who bump them off their thrones are none other than the Houston Outlaws. This happened at Comic Con. This got out of the Funko line, went over to just kind of vibe, rearrange my bag, check things, check the scores, standing in the middle of the exhibit hall looking at that 3-2 win and going, yes! Just literally yelling in the middle of the hall. Didn't turn any heads.
I was
No
gonna
one
say, I
at
think at
Comic
Comic
Con.
Con it'd be like maybe you might have someone be like volume. Oh, okay. Like be
Yeah,
surprised by a sound, but not be like,
yeah,
eh.
yeah. So
People are
that
excited.
was for me, that was the big one of the weekend was Outlaws taking out Reign 3-2. And that was a obviously when you get to a map 5, it's usually a very hotly contested match.
Hmm.
Between some of the top teams, just watching this go down has been so much fun. We've also seen the Titans on the rise. The Vancouver Titans are doing pretty well for themselves. We haven't had them going up against an extremely difficult team these past few weeks, but we have had them get some pretty well, no, I take that back. Oh, I'm looking at multiple weeks of this and it's like, no, 3 weeks ago they went up against the Mayhem and took a map off them. But it's not easy to go up against the Mayhem. They are currently the number 2 team. Uh, yeah, we had the Titans going up against the Justice and 3-0ing them, and the Gladiators and 3-0ing them. And guys, I don't know if you've invested in Gladiator stonks, but sometimes it's better to just cut your losses. The Gladiators are in something of a free fall right now. They have been having a very difficult time ever since they came back from the break on the midseason madness. Of course, we talked about I don't know if they dropped him or if he left or if it was mutual, but Dante, who was their main tank, is no longer with the team, and they picked up a tank named Marvel, who has been playing on ping, which is essentially on a delay because he is still in the APAC region. Um, it's been bad. It's been bad. We have seen them try to pull things together. We've still seen some good gameplay from some of their standout players. Kevster is moving heaven and earth trying to Fleta deadlift his team across the finish line. And of course, the support line is always phenomenal. But when you have 5 players and you're trying to pull together, it's not enough if not everyone's on the same page. And they did replace the tent pole of their team with a different one. So still trying to work with that is not the easiest thing to do. I think the Gladiators at this point are hoping for a break and hoping for a patch when they come back because they're not having a good time. They were looking like one of the middle to top teams at the beginning of the season, and now they will be lucky to make it into the play-ins cutoff. Like that's a rough situation for any team to be in. And it is hard to watch a team in free fall. It's hard to watch a team not do well consistently. And I say this as someone who has just seen the Valiant procure their second win against the Vegas Eternal, who had a chance with the Valiant. Man, they were up 2-1 and they lost it. So it's not easy. There are some narratives in this anime. There are some narratives for these teams that are just really, really difficult to follow. The Gladiators are free falling. The Eternals having a rough time. The Spitfire are doing extremely well on this patch by just going, we're all on our comfort picks. We're all having a good time. Yeah, we're going to stick with the Reinhardt Symmetra. Let's just go. Because they're known for their absolutely buck wild Reinhardt play. Because Hadi, their main tank, often known as Chaddy or the Chad, this is the guy who during a live match last year, they won a map. He got down and did several push-ups and then got back up and played the second half of the map. Like talk about a flex. This team is wild. It's good to see the Spitfire on the rise. So play-ins are going to be really interesting because at the top, Atlanta Reign is still in the number one spot. Florida Mayhem, Boston Uprising, Houston Outlaws. So we have four extremely good teams at the top. NA region is going to have, I believe, 6 teams that they will be taking to the tournament, which means that it's going to be a number of very good teams or fair to middling teams fighting for essentially 1 or 2 more spots because your top 3 are going to get in automatically, and then good luck beating that number 4 slot. It's the difference of a win or 2 or a map or 2 making the difference in the rankings with those top 4 at this point. Like the reason the Outlaws are at number 4 is because 3 weeks ago they had their week where they lost both their matches. So again, the top spot, the top seed is no longer completely certain. The Atlanta Reign can be and have been beaten, and it can be done again. So we'll see how things go going into play-ins. We'll see how things go going into mid-season madness. We have, I want to say our last regular season matches are September 3rd. So we've got a few weeks coming down the line. Things can change, but it's going to be really interesting watching these top 4 teams fighting each other for their spots and these bottom few teams fighting to get into play-ins. Like, there's no way Paris is going to make it. Valiant is going to have to pull out a miracle to make it. And Spitfire are clawing their way up into play-ins at the same time that Gladiators are falling. So it's just going to be really interesting. We're in for some real wild Overwatch coming down the line. I, for one, am excited. My predictions have been terrible, but that's okay. Having a good
that's
time.
what's entertaining, though.
I'm in like the lower third for Preds. There's no way I'd be making it into whatever play-ins. And the top person gets like $500 or something crazy.
Yes.
But those are people who are better at this and also luckier at this than I am. And that's okay.
This one is at the end. We do a thing you should check out, but it's pseudo things we're excited about because I'll talk. It's a little bit of both. I'll give my recommendations so you get a moment to breathe, but I do want to hear about a fun event you attended, which would be stuff you should check out. So things you should check out are movies, books, shows, anything that we've been watching, checking out that we think you should check out or stay away from. So luckily haven't been too many of those, but they pop up from time to time.
Yeah.
I am much further along in the American version of the TV show Ghosts. Super fun. It is, if you just want something light and not too heavy, there are nice moments of emotional plot lines that are like, aw, hit you in the feels. But you're not gonna be sitting there like sobbing per se. And so it's very funny, and again, it's very light. I think that one CBS, so that's a CBS show, so wherever you can acquire that. Started into Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Oh my goodness, I love this show so much. I watched the first season, but second season I've been a little behind, but oh my goodness, it's so good. I finished the newest Marvel show, Secret Invasion. I know some people are not thrilled with how this show went down. I found it entertaining, and it's semi amusing that people like when Marvel does different things, and this was a little different than the other shows, and yet they didn't like it. It is a much more toned down scale of things, so don't go in with grandiose thoughts. And I'm like, I think it's Coleman, Elizabeth. I was like, what is her name? An actress that I was like, oh,
I don't know. I can't help you with that.
I was like, Olivia Colman. Oh my gosh, I absolutely adored her in that. Last time I actually watched her was, I think, on Night Manager, or last big thing I watched her in. But yeah, I just love how like wonderfully chaotic and well, she's not really that chaotic, but just how she is in that show. I just really like that character.
Yeah.
So I think that's it on my big exciting things. I was like, oh, I've been kind of busy trying to get back into things. Oh, actually, you know
Yeah.
what it was? Two more. I was all, wait,
2
I
more.
did have a few things.
All right.
Warrior Nun finished season 2, and unfortunately, this probably is almost as much as we're gonna get, but it's still a very entertaining show. Though I would say at the end of season 2, I felt there were some lazy writing things, and I say lazy in the sense of uh just bad. It was for plot device. There was no good reason for something to happen that way. It's like, hey, we get past bad guys, let's have conversation 10 feet away from bad guy. No, 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 please continue on your journey and have conversation further along. Like, it just felt really like, really, I thought you all are smarter than that. So either way, if you
Yeah.
want like an action ladies kicking butt show, Warrior Nun is really cool. And then the other one was, I got to see an outdoor screening of Fifth Element, and it
Oh,
was amazing. It was so much fun, and I'm so glad to say that it still holds up many, many years later. A, story written by a teenager boy that was filmed in the 90s still holds up today and is still incredible. So, yay. It's one
yeah.
of those, I didn't have doubts, but it's always nice to be reminded. So,
Yeah. It's always nice to go
right.
back and be like, "Oh, no, this was as good as I remember it." Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yes. So, yes, tell me about the exciting thing you did.
I had a very spoopy weekend. Uh,
Yay.
saw Beetlejuice the musical again for the second time.
Yay.
So if you are able to procure tickets because it is touring right now and it's currently in Los Angeles,
I
if
feel
you're
today's
able,
the last LA day or something. It's soon.
it's soon. I don't know
Yeah.
if it is today, but
That's
it's
okay.
soon. If you are able to get tickets, do it. This is my second time watching the LA run, and we got the understudy for Beetlejuice and for Barbara the first time, and we got
Yep. Today was the
the
last day.
damn. I was like, I
Les
was
Mis
gonna
is
go
next.
again if I could get. It's like, yeah, if I could get like tickets, I would go again. Well, no, not gonna happen.
Mm-mm.
But it's frankly incredible. I know I've spoken about it on the show before, but I like it, and we're gonna talk about it again. God damn it!
Do it.
It for those of you who grew up on the 90s cartoon like I did, and then went back and watched the movies later and kind of went, what? Like, the musical is very, very good at telling its own version of the events of the movie, but tonally threading the needle between the movie and the 90s cartoon in terms of tone, character relations, execution. The songs are phenomenal. Again, it's on Spotify if you want to listen to it. There are also people who have taken bits from the show and made animatics on YouTube. And unfortunately, there is no official recording of it yet. I would hope that they
Mm.
recorded the OBC at some point so we could get a video recording of that, but there's no official one that I can recommend. So, yeah, if you are able to see the show live, do it. If you are able to listen to the soundtrack, do it. Like, it is very much, they opened the show talking about how it's a show about death. And it is. And there are some parts of it that are just absolutely flat out hilarious. And there are some parts of it where you kind of sit there and go, okay, yeah. Like some parts of it really hit home. So if you're not in a place to maybe experience a comedic treatise on mortality, if you're not in a place where you can handle a story about grief, you might want to put a pin in it for later. It may not be the right one for you at the moment, but I highly recommend it, and I love this musical so much. So much. I haven't been into a musical since Hamilton dropped, you guys. It's good. Um,
I want
and
the
then too.
recording.
Hmm?
I mean, I want to see it live, but I want availability for the recording as well. Because I'm like, no. Every
I
time it's been like,
really,
no.
I really, really hope that at some point there was an official taping of the Broadway
Yeah.
cast because it is Alex Brightman does Beetlejuice. Like he was cast as Beetlejuice. He was the Broadway Beetlejuice. He's not with the traveling company. The two people they have doing it in the traveling company are amazing, don't get me wrong. And for those of you who watched School of Rock the musical or listened to that, he's Jack Black's role in School of Rock the musical. The thing with Alex Brightman is he's a mutant and has like a specific vocal fold, a specific way of doing a voice, which means that he can do this really gritty, gravelly voice and sing in it
Mm.
consistently without damaging his vocal cords. So the Beetlejuice voice is amazing from him. He does incredible work. And of course, you can't expect someone who doesn't have that specific biological aspect to them to be able to mimic it exactly. So, watching the two versions of the show that I did out here in LA, they both did an incredible job. Like they made it their own. There were some line changes and some line additions for the traveling show
Hmm.
that had me absolutely losing my noise laughing. Just incredible work. It's still not the same as hearing Alex do the songs just because he is the originator of that voice and has that advantage where he can do that voice consistently without injury. Like
Yeah.
you got to listen to the original Broadway cast. They are so good. That cast recording is amazing.
And the
So
other fun
yes.
thing in person you did?
Yeah, I trundled my ass down to Midsummer Scream, which is
Whee!
a smaller horror convention down in Long Beach. And I will say that the reason I went down, because as I've said, I'm not the biggest horror fan. I'm not really great with horror in person. You know, there are specific franchises I like. I initially went down there because Roger Jackson was going to be there. I saw the advertisements. I lost my mind. I texted my roommate and went, "We got to go." Roger Jackson is the voice of Ghostface in all of the Scream movies. Because, you know, the character uses a voice modulator, and Roger Jackson is the one that provides that voice for the modulator. So he's been the one consistent, not the one.
That's a
We
good
have
point.
two. We have two consistent people who've been in all of the Scream movies.
Yeah.
And he has been one of them, and they've
Hmm.
finally started giving him his own like card in the credits instead of just putting him in the scroll because he's amazing and does amazing work.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, he had to cancel,
Mm.
so I was not able to meet the man. I was able to meet, and we have talked about this YouTube channel before, James and Chelsea from Dead Meat. If you've heard me recommend this channel, if you've heard me talk about the kill counts, this is that channel. These are those humans. They are wonderful in person. If you're like me and you have a lot of trouble consuming horror, if you don't like watching the movies, if you get scared really easily, I love watching the kill counts. It's an easier way for me to do horror without it getting all up ins. And the script, the delivery is all hilarious. The editing is top notch. Like, highly recommend. There are still some kill counts that I have trouble with and don't usually go back and rewatch, like the Wrong Turn ones, because Wrong Turn as a franchise is something I can't handle very well. The Thing, The Strangers, like there's a few where I won't go back because the source material is enough to make me go, I can't do that. But he did Scream. He's done all of the big franchises, your Freddy's, your Jason's, your Ghostface, your Michael Myers, the whole being dead thing. Yeah, that was his whole weekend. 2 days of spoopy and 1 day of dying from the heat.
Woo!
Again, thank you, G Fuel, for getting me through an outdoor crafting session for Labyrinth when it was 90 degrees outside.
Woof! Woof!
Literally filled this with G Fuel, brought it with me, and it was very helpful. Um, but yeah, so got to meet James and Chelsea. If you have not watched any Dead Meat channels and you would like to maybe kind of dip your toe into horror, highly recommend it. He also did kill counts for Jurassic Park if you want to do a non horror thing. And if you watch the Jurassic Park kill counts, you can watch them evolve from we're making funny videos on the internet to we are doing all the behind the scenes stuff. We are showing you how this kill was made. We are talking
Hmm.
to the actors and the directors and the producers. We're getting all of the interviews we can. We're sometimes doing our own interviews. We're getting the behind the scenes for the special effects for did they do practical? Was it
Hmm.
CGI? How'd they approach it? Like kill counts are so good because it's not just a summary of the movie and some humor. You learn about the actors, you learn about the production, you learn about how these things happen and what these techniques were. And it's absolutely fascinating. Like you learn things as well as laughing your ass off because they,
Nice.
like I said, the scripts, the delivery, the editing, everything is wonderful. Highly recommend. As for Midsummer Scream itself, I don't recommend doing 2 cons 2 weekends in a row. That's insane. Just
It's a lot.
generally speaking, I
It is
don't
a
recommend
lot.
it. Do as I say, not as I do. I was
Accurate.
there for Roger Jackson. I was on a mission. But there is always something to be said for a smaller convention.
Mm-hmm.
Not that Midsummer Scream is super tiny, because I also have done super tiny conventions, and those are a different vibe, but a good one. But there's something to be said for a convention whose attendees are measured in the thousands as opposed to the
Mm-hmm.
tens or the hundreds of thousands. Like, it's a different vibe, but it's well worth it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Midsummer Scream, if you are a big horror person, they had panels on behind the scenes things. They had, the strike is going on. So obviously there wasn't a lot of promotion for upcoming films and whatnot. But like Halloween Horror Nights at Universal had a panel where they revealed some of the mazes they were going to do. There were Not Scary Farm was there. The Haunted Hayride was there. Like, this is all
Nice.
a lot of LA specific stuff, but there were also horror in tabletop gaming panels,
Hmm.
as well as a few live play sessions there that were a lot of fun to sit in on. There were interviews, there were voice actors. There's a voice acting in horror games panel
Hmm.
that was there talking about Five Nights at Freddy's and the Silent Hill franchise. Silent Hill?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
And Resident Evil. Both those.
Resi. It wasn't Silent Hill, it was Resi. That's what it was. But yeah, talking about those franchises
Those
because
are
they had
very
some of the
nice
voice
people
actors
too.
there. Oh my God, they're great.
Resident Evil humans are wonderful
Yeah.
folks.
And I'm biased for FNAF, and also, Kellen Goff was there, and he was talking about his roles in
Nice.
the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise, and that man does a wonderful, guttural, terrifying voice.
Mm.
Like, yo,
Mm-hmm.
he he can really do some scary stuff. It's great. There were all sorts of vendors with all sorts of products, ranging from the spooky to the hilarious to the stunningly inappropriate, which I have pictures of and will be posting at one point because I thought they were funny. There
Mm-hmm.
were a lot of soap vendors there, oddly enough, lots of soap, but it was
Maybe
all
it's a
good
sign that
stuff.
people need to use it. No.
It's a sign that people get very, very creative with their soap molds. I'll tell you
Yeah,
that.
that
Some
is
of
cool.
the some of the I'll text them to you. You'll enjoy this.
Nice.
Yeah, tons of jewelry places, which are
Oh,
my
I do
bread and
love those.
butter.
Mm-hmm. Love
Yeah,
those.
a lot of fashion, a lot of stand-ups, a lot of photo ops. We had a fantastic photo op with 3 essentially vampire queens as part of the Not Scary Farm. One of the spoopy stand-ups did
Mm-hmm.
that. There was a Saw 10 booth. That was
Mm.
an experience that I did not do. Um, because I don't go to Halloween Horror Nights. I don't go to Not Scary Farm. I don't handle this stuff very well. And as someone who doesn't handle this stuff very well, I had a good time.
Good.
I didn't go into the Hall of Shadows was what they called
Yeah,
it,
I've
where
heard about
they
that. Yeah.
had walkthroughs and little spoopy things, and like they're very small mazes.
Yeah.
The line can get a little long. If you're going to
Mm.
spend time in the Hall of Shadows, then it's worth it to get the VIP badge because that'll just blow you past the lines. They have
Yeah.
VIP lines for the panels and they have VIP lines for everything in the Hall of Shadows. So if you don't want to wait in those lines, it's worth it to get the shiny badge.
Nice.
But yeah, like Hall of Shadows, I didn't do anything in there, but I did walk around, look at things that look great, fantastic atmosphere. So, like, even if you're like me and you don't handle horror super well, you can still very much go to this convention and have a good time. So, I highly recommend, like, if you've never
Sweet.
done a con before, if you want to get started, you can do San Diego Comic Con as your first as your first con. If you really just want to go
Woof.
straight into the deep end, like, if you want to go for it, more power to you. My recommendation is to pick a smaller convention closer to you and get your feet wet. Find something you're interested in. Find your
Yep.
local anime convention or your local comic con or your local horror con. Like, odds are, if there's not something in your city, there will be something nearby or in a nearby state that's a nice little day trip.
Mm-hmm.
And I recommend just starting off with that. There is something to be said for small cons, and then you kind of get the experience and you can decide, do you like being around these people? Do you like being in this sort of atmosphere? Are you okay being in a hall where maybe you'll run into traffic, you'll be shoulder to shoulder with people for a chunk of time? Do you like the panels? Like, it's good to get your feet wet so that you can kind of figure out, do I want to attend the bigger ones? Do I want to go to Emerald City, Rose City, Denver, and then do I want to go to the huge ones? Do I want to do Anime Expo? Do I want to do New York Comic Con or San Diego Comic Con? Like, you can kind of figure out where your comfort level is and scale up. My
Hmm.
first was NandesCon in Denver in like 2005, I want to say. So a hotel convention, not very big, but my first. Figured out how I handle conventions, figured out what I like to do. So that is my recommendation. Find something close to you, get a day pass, and just vibe.
I was
See
gonna
how
say,
it treats you.
surprisingly or not surprisingly, my first was Comic Con as a volunteer. Uh,
The
uh,
deep end. Wait,
about
the deep end.
2006 ish. I was like, let's go. Yeah, that was, and I picked working with talent, and my talent that I got to work with was Stanley. So it made my Comic Con like level of what can happen is so distorted. And I'm like,
Yeah.
if you are like the toppest tier of talent and recognizability, nothing else can quite compare. So it was incredible. It was amazing. And everybody in that team was amazing. And he was amazing. So I'll just say that. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in and checking out our show. I think I saw a couple new names in there. So thank you everybody for
Yeah.
joining us in the live chat. Or if you just watch silently, that's still cool. We love you. And if you're watching this later, comment down below your experience at Comic Con or your local convention, or what's something you would want to experience at a convention.
Yeah.
Katie, where can people find you online?
You can follow me all over the social medias as well as on YouTube and Twitch at Kiaxet. That is Kiaxet. That YouTube channel is mostly reaction videos, sometimes a little bit of just sitting down and talking about fun things. The most recent videos are talking about the latest Five Nights at Freddy's trailer, because we stay on brand here, and talking about the trailer for the final season of Red vs. Blue. I am also a co-host on Silver Screams. My brain was going, nighttime at the Nerd Bar. I'm like, no, that's where I am now. I'm a co host on Silver Screams with my roommate. That is our horror based YouTube channel. And as I've said, I'm not always great at horror, but she definitely is. So we have some fun discussions there. If you would like to see me absolutely jump out of my skin in a trailer reaction, I recommend the Halloween trailers, multiple. They kept getting me. And if you want to see us just sit down and shoot the shit about horror movies, we talked in depth about the latest Evil Dead movie. And by we talked in depth, I mean she got whiskey, I got popcorn, and we did a little interview because I sure didn't see it.
Nice.
Because I am a wuss.
That's okay. You know your limits and what you like, and that's a good
I
thing.
know my comfort level.
Yes,
I will never
exactly.
plunk down the money for any horror theme park thing because I know that I can't handle it, and
it's a
that's
waste.
fine.
I've gone with one of those people before who's like, I can't handle this ahead of time. They're like, I'll be fine. No, they were not, and they just essentially wasted their money because
Yep.
they just hid in a restaurant the whole night, and we're like,
Yep. Nope.
But yes, if you enjoy it, they're amazing. I love them.
Oh, if you enjoy it, more power to you.
Yeah.
Please go have fun. But the most I'm going to do is Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, and that's been sold out for weeks.
Also, side note on that, respect the talent working. Do not touch them and do not harass them. There's no reason to ever do that. Just don't. Like,
If you
they're
know
still
that
people.
If you know that your
Ugh.
fight or flight response is fight and you still want to do it, hands in your pockets, hands clasped behind you, hands
Yep.
folded in front of you. Make them inaccessible because hurting people for doing their jobs is not an appropriate reaction. Know yourself well enough to mitigate. That is
Yes.
your responsibility as a park goer and as someone who is making the choice to go into these scenarios.
Oh, well, I mentioned that because I have worked in the not scary farm for 3 years as a vampire, and I got someone who did a oops, I'm scared, and they threw their hands up, and I got flicked on my nose, which wasn't too bad. I was trying to move. Oh, my dog's clearing her throat there. Um, she's like, ahem. No, but then there were other times where people like tried to put their hand around my waist or touch me other inappropriate ways. I'm like, what the
Nope.
fuck?
Nope.
No,
Nope.
they are
Nope.
people. They're working, so respect the talent, y'all.
Look,
Y
listen, if monster fucking is your kink, amazing, great, awesome. You don't get to put that on people working at theme parks.
Yes, please don't.
It doesn't
No,
matter if you're into
no.
it. That's what
Yeah,
the internet is for.
yes. That's a whole other tangent episode, but wrapping up here, yes, y'all can find me online at Carrie D Lane. That's KARIDLANE across all the social webs. And here on Fanversation, check out our Comic Con interviews.
Yes.
Excuse me, all of our Comic Con interviews, and check out the Fanversation Instagram and TikTok for reels, as we showed some on here, and to hear them because quite a few of them had some fun sounds, and get to hear our commentary as we were filming them. So check
Yes.
all that out, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to give the video a thumbs up, click that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye, y'all.